Gentlemen, welcome. We appreciate you joining us. We're going to go with our opening statements. You'll have 60 seconds each, and we're going to go first for an opening statement with Sheriff Brian Chisholm. Sheriff, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement, sir.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate everyone being here and you guys having this forum for us. Real quickly about myself, I am your sheriff, your current sheriff. I've been at the office for 21 and a half years. I've been sheriff for two and a half years. I come from a long line of military, and I'm very big on service above self. I've been in Brunswick County for 45 years. The rest of my family was born and raised here. My wife was born and raised here 20 years. I'm just so thankful that I get the opportunity to work with such dedicated men and women on a daily basis. We have spent a long time in Brunswick County changing the sheriff's office, and it's due to the men and women that I get to work with every day. I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate what I've had, and I appreciate your support moving forward so that we can continue growing Brunswick County.
Thank you, sir. Next, for his opening statement this evening, we will go to Sheriff's candidate Tim Daniels. Mr. Daniels, 60 seconds, sir.
First, I want to thank the host for bringing us together tonight. Good evening. I'm Tim Daniels, and I'm running for Sheriff of Brunswick County because the office demands disciplined leadership, sound judgment, and a clear vision for the future. I bring to this race not only public safety experience, but also a strong foundation from an academic standpoint. And that shapes me how I lead. My education sharpens my ability to analyze complex problems, manage large organizations, and to make decisions grounded in policy, law, and accountability, not on pulse or habit. In law enforcement, education matters because every decision carries legal, human, and physical consequences.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, I forgot to mention one thing. Shay Carver from Port City Daily will be your timekeeper this evening. She has a card up here. The yellow side means you have 30 seconds left. When it comes over to the red side, you're out of time. I'm not going to cut you off mid-sentence, but I'm not going to let you start another thought process either, okay? Mr. Daniels, I'm going to ask you for the first response to the first broad issue question. In the questionnaire set out by our media group, you both mentioned managing growth as the biggest challenge in the sheriff's office. Can you be specific on how you plan to address that challenge if elected? Mr. Daniels, 60 seconds, sir.
Well, with the growth, as you stated earlier, rapid growth and the opioid crisis is taking a big demand on services. How we plan on to address it is with proper staffing, building trust and partnerships within the community, and also leading from the front, being visible. We also going to have to work with the commissioners, with the developers, and see if we can do smart growth. So growth is going to continue, but as the sheriff agency, we need to properly staff. We need to properly pay our staff to incorporate well-trained, well-versed deputies.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff Chisholm, can you be specific on how you plan to address the challenge of managing growth if elected as sheriff?
Obviously working with the commissioners. It's my job to make sure the commissioners have the stats they need and the data that they need to make educated decisions on our budget, which is the one thing they control of us, which in turn creates the positions that we have. We have got to stay ahead of this growth. We have to continue on what we've started, and we cannot do away with programs. The programs that we have had for over 10 years that have been successful and saved lives must continue. We have got to make sure that we find the educated and people that have the heart to be in law enforcement. It takes a certain person to get into law enforcement nowadays, and people struggle with trying to make that transition. So we've got to find the people that are educated and the ones that have that drive to be deputies and to have service above self. That's one of the main things. They've got to want to serve the community. They've got to be willing and have that want to do that.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff, I'm going to ask you for the first response to the next question. In going through your campaign finance reports, both of you Both of you have received rather large donations from individuals in the county. So the question, how will you go about ensuring the public that the donors to your campaign will not receive any preferential treatment when it comes to your office enforcing the law? 60 seconds, sir.
I took an oath. I put my left hand on the Bible and rose my right to serve and protect the citizens of Brunswick County and to enforce the laws. I am not going to bend to anybody because of money. And I don't think that they expect that from me. They like what I've done. They like what we've been doing. They like the way the office is being run. So they want to make sure that the right person stays into that position. You know, I'm very thankful for the donors that we've gotten over my past 3 years. But I don't think any of them would ever come to me and expect something in return, except for me to be honest and true to myself and to enforce the laws of North Carolina and the Constitution.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniels, how will you go about ensuring the public that the donors to your campaign will not receive any preferential treatment when it comes to your office enforcing the laws?
Well, my donors, the reason they donate to me is because they have confidence in my leadership style. They have confidence in me being transparent. They have confidence in me doing the right thing. The reason they donate to me is because they have watched me grow and develop over the years, and they have the faith that I can enforce the law without quid pro quo in exchange.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Daniels, I'd like to get your response first to the next question. Lawmakers passed House Bill 318 last session, which modifies the list of offenses for which the administrator of a jail or confinement facility must attempt to determine legal residency of a prisoner. Question to you, Mr. Daniels. Do you support that law? And if elected, how would your office work with immigrations and customs enforcement agents?
Well, as your sheriff, we're sworn to uphold the laws. North Carolina passed the law, we're going to enforce it. When it comes to ICE and immigration, we're going to work in cooperation with them. We're going to, because we took the oath to uphold the state law, as well as incorporate the federal partnerships. And with that, we will continue to build those partnerships, and we will continue to enforce the immigration laws fully.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chisholm, do you support that law, House Bill 318? And if elected, how would your office work with immigrations and customs enforcement agents?
It's an easy answer for me because we have been working with immigration over my tenure, and we've been working with them even before that. I think I'm going to take it a step further. We have got to communicate with the legislators to help them make good decisions, because this law is not done. It's going to continue, and there's going to be more moving forward as the committees meet and make decisions. It's going to be best for the citizens and the safety of people in their communities.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff Chisholm, your first response to the next question. As voters determine who to cast their ballot for in this race, what one quality do you think they should consider most when selecting a sheriff? 60 seconds.
You said one, I'll give you four. It's our core four values.
You got a 60 seconds.
Loyalty, integrity, dedication, and service. And I think I've shown that over my 2.5 years and my career at the sheriff's office. All they have to do is look at what I've done, which is what I'm going to continue to build upon in my next year's coming as your sheriff.
Mr. Daniels, what one quality do you think voters should consider most important when they select a sheriff? 60 seconds, sir.
I believe that the sheriff role is a constitutional duty, requiring experience, discipline, and accountability. In following the rule of law, one of the most important qualities is to make sure that you're transparent and you develop the public trust, so that they know that when you are implementing policies, you are enforcing the law, that you are being very coherent.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, it's time for our reporters to step up and ask you questions that they have researched on you. Asking questions in this round will be Aaliyah McConnell of WHQR and Connor Smith of WECT News. Aaliyah, and you'll have 90 seconds for an answer for these questions.
All right, good afternoon. Mr. Daniels, this question is for you. When asked what are the top issues facing the sheriff's office, you mentioned the opioid crisis. How do you think the agency can combat the opioid crisis better, and how would you push towards those solutions if elected, bearing in mind the growing population of the county?
Okay, as you stated, opioid crisis in Brunswick County is really screening personnel. It's really screening deputies. And with that, how we'll address it is we're going to have to partnership with our partner treatment centers. We're going to have to partnership with our neighbors, with our community. We're going to have to implement programs that programs like the recovery house and the recovery centers, so that we can have better facilities, so that we can rehabilitate these individuals.
Okay.
All right, Sheriff Chisholm, after the deadly crash involving one of your deputies last February, you told us, quote, "There's an opportunity to get better and learn from everything," end quote. What did you learn from that incident, and how are you and your department better 1 year later?
So those accidents are tragic, and my heart goes out to the family. No matter what policies you have or procedures you put in place, agencies are going to have accidents. No matter who the sheriff is, it's going to happen. You can't have a catch-all, and they're unfortunate. Our agency learned a lesson. You know, there's things that were changed in our policies in regards to chases, and you know, we're going to continue to mold through that as we move forward and other things happen. Again, you know, I think we have to make sure that we consistently do policy reviews. We are a dual accredited agency. We are CALEA certified, and we're the first in the state to be NC-LEA certified. And that was under, the CALEA was not under me, but NC-LEA was under me. So I think it's very important that we are held to the standards of those accreditation agencies, and they consistently change their standards. So we have to be ready to evolve and be open-minded to change the policies that's going to be best for not only the safety of our deputies or our officers, but also the citizens of Brunswick County.
Can you outline for me the specific policy changes that you mentioned?
There was some pursuit policy changes, yes.
Can you outline any more specifics with those?
They're on our website.
Okay. I have a second question for you, and semi-related to that one. How do you handle misconduct by deputies? Do you have a discipline philosophy? Are there certain red lines that always trigger termination or other forms of discipline, a certain philosophy that you follow when those things come to your desk?
I think you take the totality of the circumstances when it comes to that. We do have a system called Guardian Tracking. If you are counseled on anything, it's documented. If you're written up on anything, it's documented. You know, it's not just me making these decisions. I have a team, my command staff sits and makes these decisions. We have an internal affairs division which looks into certain circumstances, and they make recommendations to us. I get ultimately, as the sheriff, it's my decision, but it's not my office. Everybody's responsible for making it great. The people that I get to work with every day, the coworkers, they help me do that. So I couldn't sit here and say that there's one thing that triggers a certain thing. It's not really, there's not, like I said, there's not a catch-all be-all, but we definitely have to look at all the circumstances, and past performance is also involved in that. So we do our best to track and try to catch things before they get bad, which is the reason for that Guardian Tracking. So anytime somebody's counseled, it's notated and it goes into the system so that we can track, and it actually gives us red flags like you were talking about. So we may have to pull that deputy in and talk to them, have a counseling session, do some remedial training. All that stuff's included in the process.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Daniels, how would you ensure that the agency's CALEA and NC-LEA accreditation is maintained?
I would maintain CALEA accreditation because we will continue to abide by those policies and the rules that they set out. You know, those are standards in order to be accredited You gotta actually apply those to your everyday operations. So with that, I would adhere to make sure that all employees adhere to the standards. I would also make sure that agent's office is operating under those standards and complying with what the requirements are through CALEA. And as long as we're doing that, we will be able to continue accreditation.
With your experience primarily from the State Highway Patrol, how well do you think that experience will transfer over to help you do that?
Well, even as a Highway Patrol now, we have CALEA in place. And every year, every 3 years, we have to go through the re-accreditation process. So there are standards, national standards that we abide by, even with the Highway Patrol, just like we would have to abide by through the sheriff agencies. They're national standards, and most of the time they run coherent.
Okay. And what do you think how would you, what would you do to improve staffing challenges and build trust? You have mentioned trust a lot, and it seems to be really pivotal for your platform. And how would you go about building trust?
First of all, in order to build trust, you gotta admit, as a leader, you gotta admit that it's a trust problem. So how do you build trust? First, you admit that there's a problem. You come up with the solution. You be on the front line every day with the men and women. You get out and you communicate with the citizens. You communicate with your staff. You support them. And you provide wellness services, wellness resources. And you just show, I call it creating a family culture within an agency. You create that family culture, and you treat them like your own, treat them like your son, like your daughter. And I always say I'm like the father figure. You gotta spank them when they need to be spanked, but you gotta brush them off, and you gotta show them that you love them because you want them to be successful. So love as a family.
Alrighty, Sheriff. You responded in our questionnaire that you believe the state must continue to improve access to medical and mental health facilities. Could you outline what areas the county is currently lacking in these types of services and how you can work to improve those services across the county?
They're lacking the facilities for this. Every time somebody goes to the hospital and a doctor deems that somebody needs the treatment, we have to take them outside of the county, sometimes all the way to the western part of the state. So I know that there's conversations now because of the new law on what to do about those facilities. I'm not in those conversations as of yet. It's still in the preliminary, but my plan is to have conversations with the legislators and see what we can do to help them. What information can we give them they need? We've come a long way. I remember back when I was on patrol, we were taking 73 patients every night, sometimes multiple. And that's taxing for the deputies because they're having to drive sometimes, like I said, to the western part of the state and then back again. I can remember times where I'd get home well after the sun was up if I was on night shift, and that's very taxing on people. It's also taxing on the equipment and their mental state. So I think we've got to get to some point where we can have facilities that are closer to us here in this Cape Fear region. I know that's going to take money, it's going to take manpower, but that's going to be one of the things that I think we can help those legislators understand, and I think they do. It's just a matter of time before they can figure out where the funding is going to come from, because money makes the world go round.
Thank you, sir. And turnover, something obviously affecting law enforcement agencies across the country. What is your plan to ensure staffing levels keep up with the county's population growth?
I'll speak on Brunswick County, and I'm so thankful that commissioners agreed to do the pay study this year. We've got to increase our starting pay. I'll be very brief. Our starting pay in Brunswick County is $49,800. We had a deputy get shot in the chest and the arm this past year. He had been working a little bit over a year, so he was making a little bit more than that because he went through an evaluation. But I'm asking these deputies, men and women, to go out there and get started in law enforcement with the chance of every day going out there at a traffic stop or a domestic call or an alarm call and get shot at and potentially killed. Not only did he get shot twice, he also had to take a life. We have got to pay our law enforcement, our fire, our EMS more in Brunswick County. And I am so thankful that the commissioners have always put first responders at the top. And I think that we're going to have a lot of good things coming out of this budget.
Do you need additional personnel as well? And if so, are there certain areas you would want to see them go to beyond just the pay raises? Is additional staffing something that your office needs currently as well? And is that something you would push commissioners for?
Absolutely. And I've already had to start those conversations. Last year, we went after the investigative parts, the detective narcotics, some office staff, a full-time person to staff a new substation in Ash. But this year, I'm going to be asking for patrol positions. We have 865 square miles. We've got 15 slots on each shift. We have an increase of 10,000 calls per year for the past 3 years, I know, and well before that, it was about the same, about 10,000 calls every year increase. We have 8,000 to 8,500 new residents moving to Brunswick County. Within 3 years, we'll be over 2,000 population. We cannot wait until response times and call volumes get too much. We've got to do that now because it takes time to fill those positions. We've got to encourage people to come to this area and get into law enforcement. So we've got to start this process now, which we've already started, and we cannot let our foot off the gas. Brunswick County is growing too fast. We all see it. The complaints, there's no doctors, the roads, the water, everything is going to get stretched, and you can only stretch a rubber band so long before it breaks. Not only call volumes, investigations increases. So everything at the sheriff's office, concealed gun permits, the more people you bring in, the more taxing it is for our services that we have at Brunswick County, and that we're not going to fault and we're not going to hold the citizens. We're going to continue to give them the services that they need and they come to expect.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Daniels, what do you think contributes to the unsteady retention rate of sworn personnel? And is there anything new that you would propose that maybe the county leadership as a whole or your opponent may have overlooked?
Well, I think merit-based pay would definitely help, because not only that, I think building that culture within, the positive culture, building a culture that supports one another, building that culture, as I said, that creates family. So we need to establish a merit-based pay system, not only for deputies, but for detention officers, for 911 teleoperators, for the non-sworn staff. And I think we need to recruit from, I say bar, we need to go out and try to bar other officers from other departments. And they'll come. Well, if you create the culture, they'll come. And let me be clear, it's not all about money. We talk about money, but some men and women will work at your agency for less money if you create the proper culture. So it's not, I take my word, money helps, but money's not everything. We need to continue to retain, recruit, and train. That's how we'll continue to build upon Brunswick County Sheriff Office if I'm your sheriff.
And how would you go about implementing that merit-based pay if elected?
If elected, of course, we have to deal with the county commissioners, but however, before I approach the county commissioners, I'll evaluate every system that we have in place that requires money. If I see that money's been spent that's not spent on an effective program, then we'll cut it. We'll cut it because it's not working. Sometime you'll have to go through, as your sheriff, we will go through and analyze every program, and we will see if those programs are effective, if you're getting your bang for your buck. If not, we can take that money and we can utilize it to pay deputies, to pay detention center officers, to pay 911 center operators, and to pay non-sworn staff. So we just have to not spend monies on things that we want and focus on things that we need.
And real quick, have you identified some of those areas that may not, that would be cut if you took office?
Well, I talk about, let's be transparent. I talk about the helicopter a lot, all right? And I know that some people disagree, but I don't know how much it costs to run every year, but we can start there. And we can invest in drone programs. We can use that data. We can use that technology we have. With that, we can also look into saving money. I talk about the animal shelter. They want to spend $10 million, $7 million, $8 million, whatever they want to spend. I just think that that money can be better appropriated toward putting it back into the deputy's pocket. And then we can go work in units or with partnerships with the SARS possibilities. Some people say it will not work, but hey, you don't know what will work unless you sit down and have conversation.
Okay.
Gentlemen, now we'll move on to our reporters asking questions submitted by members of our audiences. Once again, we will rotate with Charlie Fawson of Port City Daily asking questions to Sheriff Chisholm, and Aaliyah McConnell from WHQR asking questions of Mr. Daniels. And we're going to start with Charlie Fawson. You'll have 2 minutes for each answer this time. Charlie?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. First question came in from our audience in here. So, Sheriff, what is one key factor that you've discovered in your time as sheriff in building a positive role within law enforcement and then also within the community that you're serving?
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
Yeah, so what is one key factor that you've realized throughout your time as sheriff in building a positive role within law enforcement specifically and then also within the community?
I think one of the biggest things that I have tried, and I think we've been successful, and I say we, it's not just about me. I'll say it again, it's the dedicated men and women at this office. We've built already a family atmosphere. We've provided programs that we have that take care of our men and women. We were long overdue for a peer support system. We now have a group of men and women that are fully trained to support our officers, our deputies, when they come into crisis or go to crisis scenes. When they have to go to that 6-month-old that's passed away, or they go to the tragic car accident or the shooting, we have somebody that can help them mentally to make sure that they are able and willing to go back to work and they're okay. Another thing that we have at the Sheriff's Office, which is a phenomenal program, through our Sunshine Fund, through our Brunswick Sheriff Charitable Foundation, is the Sunshine Fund. I have the ability, through donations from the citizens, to actually help our staff if they come into financial troubles, if they have an unexpected need at their home, or if they get behind on their bills. I can help them with that. So we've created a family atmosphere, and that's the most important thing. And that's why we're very fortunate that even though our pay is not where we all think it should be, we're still getting applications coming in. So we've created that family atmosphere already. In the community, one of the biggest things we do is we are out in the community, and we are part of the community. We educate the community. We give them a mechanism that they can give us information that we can use to help them and make the community safer. That communication with the community is key. You want to be a part of the community, not just there for the community in their time of need. You want to be there in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed in your time as sheriff, you mentioned educating the public as far as, I guess, what specifically are you commonly educating people about? And
anything and everything that they want to know about the Sheriff's Office. We have a Citizens Academy, which just started today. Our first meeting is 12 weeks, 3 hours a week. They come in and they get to learn everything about the sheriff's office. We have not instructors, but we have our deputies, our investigators come in there and they spend time with them and they tell them all the things that we can do at the sheriff's office and then the things they see on TV that we cannot do. But they learn about their sheriff's office because we work for the citizens of Brunswick County. I learned that a long time ago. They all know that, and we try to instill that in new people coming in. We also have an impact group. My time is up. We're in the community every day.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Daniels, you did touch a little bit on your of the accreditation and that experience, but this audience member wants to know, they say you bring over 26 years of experience as a captain with the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. If elected, how do you see your state level experience benefiting the Brunswick Sheriff's Office? And what specific area do you expect the biggest learning curve in?
Okay. You know, the Highway Patrol Service has prepared me to lead with discipline, judgment, and accountability. And I understand that the sheriff role is different than the highway patrol. However, being truthfully, I would have to learn how to deal with the detention center, deal with the civil process. However, how do I deal with that being a trooper? I surround myself with a command structure with the subject matter experts that know the role. Me as a sheriff, I know I lack those expertise in those positions, but I have a basic knowledge. And leadership is about surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you.
And can you draw upon your experience a little bit more? What challenges have you faced that you feel like would make you the top pick?
Some challenges as a captain in the highway patrol. I have managed risks. I have been involved in high pressure situations.
Like what kind?
High pressure situations, you're actually in like a loss of a member in the organization. Or are you on an active chase which involve a murder suspect? Are you in a high pressure situation where you got a PR nightmare because something that one of your members or employee has done that doesn't stand with your core principles? And you're the ones that have to make the decision as a troop commander. Where do we go from here? How do we deal with that? And it's not easy sitting there knowing that someone's not, that someone's not making it home, and you have to deliver that message to their family. That's high pressure situations.
Okay. Okay.
Sheriff, another question for you. This one's also coming in from our audience in here. Could you give your perspective on the cost applied to the volunteers program? And can you talk about a little bit of their value that they brought to the office?
Absolutely. Our volunteer program consistently saves the taxpayers over $1 million every year. And it seems like every year they increase that. This year, I just got the stats, our volunteers save the taxpayers over $1.2 million. We could not do all the services that we do without our volunteers. I have 368 total personnel at the sheriff's office. I have 363 active volunteers. They are embedded in every aspect of the sheriff's office. So if we want to talk about being financially responsible, I think that alone does that. And I could state a whole other list of things that we've done. But we couldn't do all the programs that we have without them. They're also out in the community. The question you posed earlier, that's another resource that we have. They go through our Citizen Academy for 12 weeks. They have the opportunity. We don't ask them. They come to us and they want to volunteer. They want to be a part of an agency that they just learned everything about. So, you know, that says a lot about what we've done at our agency, that people want to come and they want to volunteer and be a part of something big. And I'm so thankful. I didn't create this program, but I'm definitely not going to get rid of it. We could not, I've said it twice already, I'm going to say it again, we could not do what we do without our volunteers. They do everything from traffic control, they check vacation homes, they work in our office, they work in the detention center, they work at the courthouse. I don't know, I couldn't put a number on how many active personnel we would have to replace all those volunteers and what they do for us. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so thankful that the program was started. I'm thankful that we continue to get volunteers in every single year.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Daniels, this person wants to ask, how do you view your role in supporting ICE enforcement activities, or how do you view the sheriff's role in supporting ICE enforcement, and what steps would you take if you received reports of illegal tactics or potential infringement on civil rights? What, if any, relationship do they have with ICE, or what, if any, relationship? Well, let's just start with that question first.
One more time.
Yeah. So this person wants to know, how do you view the sheriff's role in supporting immigration enforcement?
Okay. Of course, immigration is a federal law. However, the sheriff must follow the North Carolina law that was established. We must fully cooperate with ICE, because cooperation is key with our partners. And so I see that we just can't afford a situation like Minneapolis or Chicago, where we leave agents out there by themselves to fend for themselves. We need to support the role of ICE. We need a partnership with them. We need to stand firm, because they're here. If they're here lawfully, legally, then we're going to exercise our the Constitution that we upheld to hold, and we're going to take action.
And how would you respond to incidents that are similar to the ones that happened in Minneapolis in regards to Renee Good and Alex Preddy? We're collaborating with immigration enforcement.
As your sheriff, what's happening in Minneapolis will not happen here in Brunswick County. Again, as I stated earlier, we're going to cooperate with ICE. It's a due process in place for every situation that has occurred out there, and we cannot allow lawlessness. So immigration laws, state laws, we're going to enforce them, whether it's in partnership or whether it's alone. We're going to take action, and we're going to stand firm on that.
How confident are you in your ability to collaborate with other agencies?
I've been working with agencies throughout my whole career. I have built bonds, relationships. I can pick up the phone and call not only North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. I'm very confident in my ability to reaching out to partnership with other agencies, other partners. That's what we do. For my 26 years, we have built relationships over and over again.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, another one for you. This one's coming from our audience. Your opponent has said that he will be transparent. Can you say a little bit about how you're already being transparent and with all citizens as well as Brunswick County Sheriff's Office staff?
You know, transparency's been talked about a lot. We have laws and policies that we have to abide by when it comes to transparency. We've abided by those laws. If we have information that we can give out, we give out. You know, unfortunately, at times we have to hold back. And again, there's laws that we have to abide by. I think that for our app, for example, that's a great way to be transparent. We can give out information. You can go on our app. You can see all the programs that we have. We feed you information when critical incidents occur, accidents occur. We give you ways to go around the accident. During storms, during a snowstorm, we feed you information. I've said that our community is our #1 resource, and we've got to foster that. But again, unfortunately, there's times when we cannot. I think that at the sheriff's office, we've been as transparent as we can be. You can go on our app, you can go on our website, you can look at our policies, you can look at our procedures. So I think we've done that over the years. You know, if laws change and things change, then we can give information, but we're bound by certain things. And I get that sometimes the public doesn't want to hear that. I understand, but unfortunately that has to be our answer.
Mm-hmm. And then one more quick question, also coming in from our audience. You might have mentioned it already, but how long have you lived in Brunswick County?
45 years.
45 years. All right. Thank you so much.
Too, but I got here as quick as I could.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, that's going to end the question and answer session of this evening's forum. We do want to give you one closing statement. Maybe you wanted to touch on an issue you haven't got a chance to, or you just want to get a message across to the voters before we leave this evening. We're going to go first with a closing statement of no more than 60 seconds to Sheriff Brian Chisholm. Sheriff, you have 60 seconds, sir.
I think it's very simple. I've been in the office for 21 and a half years. I've been sheriff for 2.5 years. You've seen what I've done, and you've seen now what I'm going to continue to do. I'm not going to get rid of programs, but I'll say it once and I'll say it again. We have got to stay ahead of this growth, and we've got to foster the family atmosphere that we have fought so hard at the sheriff's office to keep people moving in. And as far as the financially responsible, we've worked hard to use port security grants. I've even created a position this year for a full-time grant position to help and ease the burden on the taxpayers. A lot of the stuff that's thrown around you see on social media, do your research and look at it, because some of it is not true. $10 million numbers, not true. Command buses, $1.5 million, didn't cost the taxpayers a dime. We are being financially responsible. And I see the stop sign.
Thank you, sir. Next, for his closing statement this evening, we will go to Sheriff's candidate Tim Daniels. Mr. Daniels, 60 seconds, sir.
My platform is simple, and it's discipline. Public safety rooted in constitutional responsibility, physical stewardship, transparency, and respect for both deputies in the community we serve. One Brunswick, service over self is not a slogan, it's a standard. It means sheriff office that prioritizes community trust over politics, professional leadership over personal comfort, and long-term stability over short-term appearances. Leadership is not defined by spending an entire career in one building. It's defined by vision, integrity, and the courage to improve systems that already exist. You don't have to inherit a system to lead it. You have to respect it. You have to be willing to make it better. Brunswick County doesn't need the same old thing.
Okay.
It needs leadership with a purpose.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, will you give these candidates a round of applause? Gentlemen, hold your seat, please, if you would. We appreciate you signing up and being willing to lead in the public service and the public eye in Brunswick County. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to end this first forum this evening here at Leland Town Hall. We do appreciate the candidates joining us. We appreciate our audience. On behalf of the reporters of WHQR, WECT, and Port City Daily, we do want to thank Town Manager David Hollis in the back. Thank you, sir. Sabrina Reinhart, the town clerk, and everybody here with the town of Leland for allowing us to use this facility. It is perfect for what we needed this evening. This forum is going to be recorded and will be posted online so that individuals will be able to see it all the way through Election Day.